Dust my eyes deceive me. Dust my eyes, I see. Any Red Sox fans in the house? We got Michael Superbacker coming in from Boston. Let me tell you a story about a man from Boston. I bet you've heard that story about a man. How many times have you heard a story about a man from Boston who drove a Mini Austin, Michael Superbacker? Probably a million times. I never met anyone from Boston until Michael Superbacker. It's great. First person. I get to tell people, I get to say, yeah, I know someone from Boston. It's awesome. Morning, Twitters in the house. Hey, first on race day, Benson. Benson's sad. He's not a Friktreon. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. There'll be plenty of other Treons. I just take a minute to arrive here in the show. Dust my eyes to see me. Yes. Mrs. Alfonso says, it's not dust my eyes, Brody. I say it is. It's not dust my eyes. Oh, I gotta dust my eyes out this morning. 1, 2, 3, February 23. Thank you, folks, for joining life with me. It's the Bro to the D here on the Moaning Show. We gotta go and do something for you folks this morning. Got Benson in the house, Twiddler from Twiddler's Place, the best place to party on a Tuesday night. How you folks doing? Hope you're feeling all right. Got a good show for you folks this morning. I got some stuff to talk to you boys and girls and fans of Magic the Gathering about. It's February 23. Thanks for joining me on the morning show. Have you ordered any of the March of the Machines, Lord of the Rings, or Commander Masters 2023 from the Amazon online gaming store? Why? I felt like asking that question this morning. Just wondering, anybody making any purchases, pre-order or otherwise? Good morning, Brody. Good morning, folks in the chat. Benson says, basically, you'll Flava Flav hype, man, at this point. Always heard about it. The man from Nantucket, not the man from Boston who drove the Mini Austin. Titantaman, Richie Dubs. I heard about the man from Nantucket. The man from Nantucket and the man from Boston. They got together in a Mini Austin. Oh, it's good. We're gonna do a little bit of Magic the Gathering here, you folks. Let's go ahead and get ready to do the show. I got fluff on my hat. I can't have any fluff on my hat. That's better, Brody. Brody doesn't want any fuzz on his hat. It's messing up the stream. I hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. It's Thursday. That's right. I got a cup of coffee made up here. I haven't touched it yet. I haven't had a sip yet. I look forward to each and every morning to doing the stream with you folks, having my first cup of coffee of the morning, and just sharing life with everybody here on the channel who likes to join in and have a little fun. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Is there enough information out there, or sometimes is there just too much information? Can you handle it? Can you stand it? Brody, they're showing me stuff over here saying it's good. Brody, they're saying it's a better deal over here. Brody, I just bought this new bundle online, and then I found it cheaper somewhere else. Well, if you like tracking the prices of Magic cards, whether you like it or not, you can always join in. All are welcome here. It's Brody. I'm tracking the prices of Magic cards each and every day when I get up. That's the first thing I like to do. I'm doing it here anyway. Why don't you join me? Let's take a look at a little recap this morning. Just a sneak peek, if you will, at the price of Hasbro stock. We've been looking at the price of Hasbro stock for a couple of months, since November. We've been staked out on this hill, waiting for that fourth quarter earnings report to come out from 2022. It's arrived on February 16th, and now we're waiting for a breakout. What's that you say? A breakout, Brody? Have you got some acne happening? A couple of zits on your forehead? No, not a pimple in between. No, not that kind of breakout, Brody. Not that kind of breakout at all. Not the kind of breakout you get on high school pitcher day. We're talking about a stockbroker term. You know why they call you brokers? Because they make you broker. We'll go over a couple of stock market terms, including breakout. We've covered lower support level, upper support level. And here, the next term I've got for you folks, if you're new to the stock market game, is this one. It's called, it's even a Magic the Gathering mechanic. And if you can guess it in the comments section below, I'm going to give you a thumbs up. So there's a stock market term that is also a Magic the Gathering mechanic. Which one is it? Let me know. All right, let's take a look at the price of Hasbro stock just to recap for you folks here. I got to get my really epic pen out because it's my best friend when it comes to tracking the prices of stocks. Let's just take a look here. So Hasbro stock moving up in this direction. We're looking at maybe, what's this, a max chart? Let's look at the daily. I want to look at the daily chart just for a second, then we'll move back and take a screenshot. Daily up 2.5% since Wednesday. Wednesday, Tuesday, we were down to 56 bucks. After the fourth quarter earnings, we pitched we pitched in yod north of $60 for a hot minute. Now we're back below 57. I'm going to just scale this chart out for you folks to look at. This is the daily chart and the 5-day and the 1-month chart. So what's happened? These folks have got loans, people. They got loans to pay. They're leveraged. They're tapped out on mana. Let's take a look at this chart here for you folks. So if I'm going to just draw a couple of lines on here. Let's take a look here. So let's imagine, this stock is moving up in this direction. Maybe I should zoom in a little bit. That might make it a little easier. What stock market term is also a Magic the Gathering mechanic? Anybody? Kicker. Ooh, kicker. Close. That's a good one, but it's not the one I'm looking for. Kicker. All right, so I'm going to draw a line on this chart. We have to draw a line on this chart. So you see these little ripples? We just discussed upper support level. Like this is another term for you folks. This is called an all-time high or an ATH. People love acronyms and using letters, and I feel stupid when I'm sitting in a room and people are like the PXP and the ATH and the all-time high of this, and you're just like, could somebody just dumb it down for Brody here and like give me the long version? LMK, let me know. But this is what we call an all-time high, and when this stock is trading in between a range, let's see, let's draw a line here connecting our toes coming up. And then we'll also connect the head to the toe coming up. So do you see these two lines on the chart? And this is what I'm talking about, this channel that I'm drawing here, Richie Dubs. You see this channel that I've drawn here? It's a high and a low reaching upward or downward in price. Sort of staying within a particular range of two parallel or semi-parallel lines. Sort of like a range or a channel that the stock would be drifting up and down. Hopefully that helps you out. Mr. DJ Long converging on the channel this morning for all you folks to see. All right. Channel's the term I'm looking for. It's a stock market term. It means these two lines here, and you can see it. I'll exaggerate it for you. So then it looks as though the Hasbro stock right here is trading in a particular channel. It's up and down right in here. And then if I want to sort of exaggerate that, this is sort of another trend that people might draw on a stock market chart. So we got two channels here. Join me on my other channel, Brodiferous. No. So there's a couple of channels for you folks. You never heard it before. There's jargon going around in the stock market world. So now you know. How you guys doing? You got plans for the day? There's one more to go. It was a bit of a short week for me. But let's do this. Let's have a little fun this morning. I think we should warm up just a touch by looking at a couple of AI generated magic cards. Something that we do in the mornings just to get a little bit of steam going, get you folks involved, get somebody commenting. Sacrifice, yeah, sacrifice. Exploits. I was looking for channel. Sorry, buddy. I was looking for channel. But I mean, you did good. I appreciate the effort. All points to Richie Dubs for all the great guesses. Why not? All right, let's get ready to just warm up a little bit this morning, folks. Brody's got to get his larynx warmed up here. It's getting, it's early. I got to have a little sip of coffee. I got to kind of get my sailor legs on this morning, eh? And to do that, we're going to look at a couple of AI generated magic cards, eh? All right, you know the rules. Your time is precious. I appreciate you folks for spending your morning with me. So I'm not going to waste it. You know how it works here. We're going to look at some AI generated magic cards. If it's any gibberish on the card, we don't have time for that. We fail it. Get it out of here. Get out of here. I'm waiting for an AI card to say destroy a target player. So if there's any gibberish on the card, we fail it. We hit the buzzer. We got to make sure the buzzer's working this morning. We're going to warm that thing up. I got my hammer and bell here next to the ring. If it's pass, we'll give it a ding, ding, ding. Even if it's a little over mana costed, if it's functionally okay, we'll give the card a pass. And we had 5 out of 5 the other day, so let's go. Check this out. Alphonse was teaching us about some stocks. Yes, subliminally in the background, Richie Dubs. The AI is working, and it's working because you can't tell it's working. That's how you know it's working. We're programming. Welcome to the program. I try. I'm a wealth of somewhat helpful info. You're a basket of treasures of information. It's fantastic. Let's look at this card. Richie, what do you think of this here? Reckless Street Argiver. Ooh, I like the flavor on it. It's a funny looking card. This Argiver, does he have a face? Does it have a face? It's kind of got a face. It's got a funny looking face. Reckless Street Argiver. Is this a card? All right. It's 1 black and 5. Phyrexian Sphinx. It's a Sphinx. Sphinxin. What do you think? What do we think about this Sphinx? A 5/5 creature, it's black in color, 1 black and 5. Commanders you control have add 1 mana of any color. It needs to say tap. Come on. 1. Reckless Street Argiver becomes under your control. That's legit. If somebody takes it, you can just activate it. Blocked except by 2 or more. It can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures. It's wrong. It's got italics on the bottom saying that ability means, oh, it's so close, but we got to, I think, get out of here. I don't think we can. Looks like a kindergartner Drew Karn. This card predicted the future. The Phyrexia are going to Amonkhet. A Phyrexian Sphinx is possible. Yeah, right? I crush it in Jeopardy. My financial portfolio, not so much. Jeopardy's a lot of fun. But not as fun as this game, right? Okay, let's check this one out. Ooh, swamp. Let's check the land type. That's a graveyard. Wow, look at the art on that. Swamp. Anybody seen a swamp like this? Is some eerie art. I like it. Let's give that a pass. There was an island on here a couple of weeks ago. MTG Gaming Bob stopped by and he's like, I think I'm going to proxy that art. We liked it so much. It was really good. This one falls right up in the epic art category. Let's give it a dinger, right? Thanks, Benson. You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I like, let's see here. Swamp. Okay, let's check out this card. This is Sylvan Banding. Sylvan Banding. It's a blue card. It's a sorcery. It's got a casting cost of 1 blue and 3. Jumpstart? Why is it jumpstart? Okay, target player reveals target cards at random from your hand. If you do, that player discards their hand. Oh, how can you discard target card at random? It doesn't quite get me there. I don't know, but the facial expressions here look as though this looks like 99% of people watching Brody's morning stocks, right? This is what people look like when my thumbnail comes up on their YouTube feed. They're like, no, I'm not clicking it. Swipe to the next one. A little bit of resting bee face on all of these folks. Sylvan banding. They're banded together in misery, I suppose. This card makes no sense. I can't pass it. Let's move on to the next one. All right. Let's check it out. Ooh, I like this. I want to pass this just on art alone. What do you think of this one, Richie Dudge? Look at the rack on that right there. Titanium, thanks, buddy. Love you. Look at the rack on this, and let's skip to the Ancient Grip. It's a 3/3. It costs 6, 2 blue and 4. This legendary. No, it's not legendary. It's not legendary. Come on, for 6 mana, I need a legendary elk. It's an elk. Whenever Ancient Grip, I love it. Yo, yo, yo. It's the Ancient Grip. Whenever Ancient Grip enters the battlefield, you draw a card, except during your draw step. Exile target creature or planeswalker card in a graveyard. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it from anywhere, and spells of the chosen type to cast this spell from exile. Oh, kind of sucked at the end there. All right, I love the elk. I love the Ancient Grip. It just got... I mean, nice try, right? Nice try. Jeez, it just about really nailed it. I like the you may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were a mana of any color to cast it. So this AI is picking everything up. I know it's an elk, DJ. I really want an elk. Titanium, good morning, folks. If I didn't say hello, I'm saying hello again. The Ancient Grip. I like the art. So sad. So much potential. You know, it's not okay to suck Ancient Grip. It's not. And you should know that because you have so much potential. It's a disservice for you to waste it with gibberish on a magic card. So we need you to do a little better, Ancient Grip. Nawalia Rider. This 2/3 elemental. Wow, this is sort of where we landed off yesterday. So since then, we got some neat stuff. The Nawalia Rider, 1 green and 3. I can't remember. Did we pass this? No, I don't think we did. Enchanted Creature Elemental. Enchanted Creature has no opponent. Memnarch at will said, Ajani Avon, False Namanar Sharanar. False Namanar Sharanar, Ajani Avon. I don't know. I don't think we passed it. Yesterday. So we ain't gonna pass it again. We are not going to pass it again. Folks, how are you doing this morning? There we go. We're all warmed up. We got viewers in the chat. People are tuned in, turned on, and ready to go with the show. They got their sets turned on. Where have you got Brody dangling from the bumper? You got me in the car on the coffee station. Is it snowy where you are? It got down to minus 27 degrees yesterday. Holy smokes. How's the weather in Boston, Connecticut, New York City? New York. Did somebody say New York City? Benson's in the house. Mr. DJ Long. Let's take a look here at the stock desk this morning. I want to go over to the stock desk to read you folks a little article this morning. Let's take a look to see what's new here with Corey Williams. Corey Williams is a friend of the channel, somebody who writes for the stock desk. We like to read articles. I kind of like the Harvey McGinnis guy. He's my favorite article writer thus far based on content. I like the approach. Do you folks have a favorite writer over there? Let me know. This one we're going to talk about modern cards, Cloudstone Curio, Gemstone Caverns, and Underworld Breach. In this episode of Modern Times, Brought to us by the folks over the stock desk. Corey's going to dig into some card seeing movement in Modern here on the channel. It's mild. It's the mildest winter we've seen here in New England. You're in New England. How's the chowder, Richie? How's the chowder? Ores don't have power and toughness. True enough. It's gibberish. Let's read this article brought by Corey Williams in the Modern Times. Cloudstone Curio. I'm going to look at a few existing modern card format staple pieces, some cards that have existed over a considerable moment since the Brothers' War. And Cloudstone Curio seems to be a little combo piece that almost could. The combo piece that almost could, Cloudstone Curio, has got a long price history and has seen numerous speculative spikes. Yet it always seems to settle at a price slightly higher than its pre-spike trend. This happening during Theros, Beyond Death, and Modern Horizons 2, most recently. After the Brothers' War, it crept up to around $60 and has fallen back to just over $50. Are you serious? This curio is that much? You know what's funny about Cloudstone is that there was a reprint of what was the other sad robot? What's the one? It's early. It's early. In the Kaladesh inventions. And I thought it was a curio. Was this I think this was reprinted in Kaladesh inventions, but I didn't realize. Yeah, it was. I didn't realize that the non-invention version from Ravnica was so expensive. Recently, with the Brothers' War and Phyrexial will be one, shaking up the metagame, Golgari Elves has found a way back into the fringe of the format, making some recent appearances in higher profile RCQ events and similar competitive settings. Cloudstone Curious is a terrific one or two of in these decks, in particular with other key pieces like Nettle Sentinel and Heritage Druid. Okay, so this 3-mana artifact, it says whenever a non-artifact permanent comes into play under your control, you may return another permanent you control that shares a permanent type with it to owner's hand. Now, do you know what card this reminds me of? Is a card from the Alliances set called Storm Cauldron, and there was a deck built around it once upon a time. I'm just going to bring the Storm Cauldron up here for you folks today. So Storm Cauldron is kind of similar, and it's almost like the combo piece that could. It's 5 mana, and this one says it's only $3. It says each player may pay additional land during each of your turns. Whenever land is tapped for mana, return it to owner's hand. So this one blinks the lands, and the curio for 5 mana, and the curio is 3 mana, and it says whenever non-artifact permanent comes into play, that gets returned to owner's hand. So if you need an engine to blink stuff, this is a way to do it. The Nettle Sentinel is an elf. That says whenever you cast a green spell, you may untap Nettle Sentinel, and then you can tap all your elfies to make triple green. And then when you tap them, they come back to hand. Then you get to play them again, and then do it over and over and over again. This combination allows for infinite bounces, infinite casts, and infinite copies of Shaman of the Pack, a card that, yeah, it sucks to lose to this card. I'm not even kidding you. I've totally lost to this card a couple of times and it feels real bad. I'm going to have a sip of coffee with you folks. First one of the day. I'm going to enjoy this. It's going to be a good one. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Double sip. Double sip this morning. That's nice. One may wonder if a few new game pieces from All Will Be One will continue to push this card higher. It's possible with swath of new proliferate-oriented cards, along with a new toxic mechanic and combo-enabling planeswalkers like Tyvar. I opened a Tyvar. It's not possible to imagine more brews could arise potentially benefiting from Cloudstone Curio. Again, Curio is always just a hair away from being incredible, but tends to fall just slightly above average in most cases. Nevertheless, keep an eye on it as it seems that we can expect some price movements in the near future. I want to just take a little bit of a look at how many versions of the Curio there are. There's the Ravnica version. Yeah, here's the Invention version. Is it $200? It looks like a blue egg. It does. Pretty good card for 3 mana. I'll take it. Next card on the list here today, we're looking at Gemstone Caverns. Now, I really have played this card. I've been laughed at. Brody's been laughed at multiple times by people saying, Brody, that's not a competitive modern card. I just like playing it, like here's the thing. I got to a point with a certain deck of mine and I started playing Gemstone Caverns because quite frankly, my perspective is this. You put Gemstone, and I played it in a turns deck. So, having the extra draw is really important. But Magic can be a silly game at times. It really can. It's a game of chance, just like any other game. Yes, there's skill involved, but you do need luck. Dice rolling is a game of chance. Shuffling is also, and randomization is also a game of chance. And those are two of the most important mechanics of the game of Magic. If somebody asked me, Brody, what is the most I gotta really get this point across. If somebody asked me, they said, Brody, what is the most important thing for both players to sit down and have a good game of Magic? What is the most important thing? Okay, well, number one, to have fun, but mechanically speaking, is shuffling. Shuffling is the most important thing you can do properly, and it's simple and it doesn't involve any play mistakes or any types of like game mechanics. Shuffling is, if you want my opinion, is one of the most important things a player can do to ensure a good game of Magic. So when it comes down to randomness and luck in the game, it's funny to me to build a game all around luck. Like I literally was putting Gemstone Caverns in a deck and going to a tournament just expecting to lose the die roll, right? Just I was like, I'm planning to lose the die roll. So if you want to build a if you want to build a deck that builds around going second and maybe not being so lucky, this card can do it. I find it quite interesting. It messes with pregame, and it's really interesting to sit down after your opponent wins the die roll and they're like, okay, I'm going to play a land. And you're like, I have pregame effects. Manners. Don't you know your manners yet? Gemstone Caverns. This card's been a hidden gem, and it's all puns aside. It's one of the most intriguing lands in Magic the Gathering, let alone modern. The ability to have it free land on turn 0 that can add a color of any choice to your mana pool is exceptionally useful, albeit highly conditional in your opening hand. It's not a bad card to consider when playing with a card like Serum Powder. Gemstone Caverns is legendary. It's seldom useful to play more than one copy in your deck, given it can only add colorless mana. Otherwise, it's legendary and you can only have one in play. It also does pitch to itself. So if you reveal Gemstone Caverns and discard Gemstone Caverns, that's totally okay. These mild drawbacks notwithstanding the upside of Gemstone Caverns, particularly if one are in play, it's enormous. This price, it's especially faster paced formats like Modern. Prior to Brothers 1, Cavern sat at around $35, but now it's shot up to $50 in recent weeks. Wish I had bought the foils. There's cards like this and the Obero and a few of the lands. If you ever have an inkling of a land that you want to play, like Karn's Bastion, I think that's a worthwhile card to pick up a foil. Or at least it was. Urza's Saga, it was. But the recent resurge of crashing footfall style builds has fueled this surge. Most footfalls decks play caverns as a 2 of to increase the chance of a turn 2 cascade trigger. Beyond high tier decks like Crashing Footfalls, anti meta builds and prison style decks are also popping up all over the radar and slotting in Gemstone Caverns to increase the probability of a turn 1 Blood Moon or similarly devastating Prison Piece. I would imagine that this price spike is going to be short-lived. In a sense, I don't see it doesn't ramp you, but in a sense, Gemstone Cavern seems to have replaced banned cards like Simian Spirit Guide, which reap considerable value through their production of fast mana. The poor Portal Monkey that got banned. So its value in Modern for Gemstone Caverns is highly dependent on the prevalence of decks that need fast mana to compete. The Crashing Footfalls deck is one of them, and of course the Moon deck, Moon's Over My Hammy, is another one of them. Shout out to anybody in Miami watching. If you want to Gemstone Caverns, I'd advise and waiting a couple weeks for the afterglow of All Will Be One to subside. The afterglow, I like it. Thanks. Then I would imagine Caverns will slowly creep down to 35 or $40, which seems to be its equilibrium long price. Ah, how nice. And then we get to do this card. This is going to be Underworld Breach. Pretty cool. What's Twiddler say? You got to show the screen this time. Uh-oh. Did I not show the screen? What did I do? Uh-oh. Oh, Richie Dubs got shorts in the man. Richie Dubs a posting machine here this morning. Before we get to Underworld Breach, let me just take a look in the comments here. Twiller's back. Round table tonight. Brody, I hope you can hang with us. Lots of fun stuff to talk about. I'm heading to the mighty. I'm heading to the mighty this afternoon. I've got okay. So DJs. Okay, this very important public service announcement to everybody and all of you folks tuning in on the channel this morning. Mr. DJ Longhair, the steward, the gentleman himself, is hosting the MTG Roundtable this evening over at the Mr. DJ Longhair channel. It is a very, very interesting show. The link is in the comment section, so you got to go check it out. I highly recommend stopping by. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it tonight. I had a meeting yesterday, and some friends invited us to head out directly after work today. So, depending on how that lines up, I might be on late, which I like getting on late anyway. I like to come on and I like to come over on like the last half of the show. It's kind of, that's here comes Brody dragging up the behind. So, tonight is the round table over at Mr. DJ Longhair's. The link is in the description below. Make sure you hit that button. Let's check out this Underworld Breach. Man, it's how the week goes by so quickly. Thanks, DJ, for the reminder. The weeks just fly by, and when you get up every morning, you're just stoked to look at these Magic cards. You just lose track of time. Underworld Breach is a card that's been facing. It's been facing a lot of. It's a fascinating card in a lot of ways. It's dumbed down. Okay, it's a dumbed down, but rather in the form of a 2-mana enchantment. The ability, it's like almost like it's almost like that the other red one that gives everything in your graveyard flashback. Underworld Breach has been a fascinating card. In a lot of ways, it's a dumbed down, but in the form of a 2-mana enchantment. The ability to recur low cost cards from one's graveyard is invaluable in any format, especially eternal formats like Modern and Legacy. Prior to Brothers War, Breach was $9. In a very short time period between the preview season 1 and the subsequent release, Breach has climbed to a near record high of $20. Wow! The highest it's been in 2 years. I didn't realize that this card from Theros Beyond was so much money. The reason for this is shifting sands in the modern meta. Breach style decks are slowly breaking away at the meta, with decks like Teamer and Jeskai Breach making considerable splashes across many high profile events. So if you're not familiar with the card, this 2-mana enchantment costs you 1 red and 1. It says each non-land card in the graveyard has escape, meaning you can pay its escape cost and then cast it again. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost plus exiling 3 other cards in your graveyard. So now you can flash back all those other cards from your graveyard and escape them. It's like Past in Flames. That was another card. So Past in Flames, I think, costs a few more. This one's 2 mana. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Underworld Breach. So you can only do it once. Past in Flames, I think, was a sorcery that lasts till end of turn. This one's an enchantment that gets sacked. Yeah, Past in Flames. Thanks, Richie. It's good in a breach. It's good in a prowess deck or a trigger deck. More interestingly, breach style decks have been getting some help with the addition of low mana cards like Haywire Might. Is this the little... Okay, this is a little artifacty 1/1. When it dies, you get 2 life. And then you can sack it, exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. It's like green removal. Green enchantment removal in an artifact. From Brothers War and Skrelv Deflector Might. This is the toxic one? Yeah, this is the other 1/1. So these little mites. They want to recur these little low value mites. Yeah, the Haywire, you can blow up 2 enchantments or 2 artifacts. And then the Skrelv Deflector Might, you can get this little 1/1 back that taps to give another target creature toxic and hexproof. Till end of turn. Anger Collection's in the house. How you doing, friend? Happy Thursday. Just a reminder, today's Thursday, roundtable day over at Mr. DJ Longhair's channel. Anger Collections. Good morning, brother. Thanks for joining me on the channel here this morning. I'm going to have a little sip of coffee with you folks. Thanks for joining Anger. We're reading up a little bit of Underworld Breach. So Corey's got a couple of concluding thoughts here. Let's take a look. When it comes to these 3 cards, Cloudstone Curio, Underworld Breach, and the Gemstone Caverns. Recent release of 2 heavy artifact theme sets has given way to some interesting price movements across Modern. The Modern meta also seems to be shaking up. Did somebody say shaking? The Modern... Did somebody say shaking? The Modern metagame also seems to be shaking up ever so slightly, with Crashcade decks making a hearty resurgence in the meta along with Underworld Breach decks. I expect movements we're seeing now are indicative of future movements of similarly dated cards in Modern's card pool. Keep an eye out for those trinkets and borderline playables in your collection, and there's no telling what brews could bring their price points to a boil. Corey Williams, thanks, brother. I like Corey's articles. He's one of my favorites because he's got a PhD. He's a PhD candidate for economics at West Virginia University in Morgantown. He brings that macroeconometrical aptitude with his research body for reflecting applied macroeconomics and time in econometrics and non-parametric econometrics. He's a level 1 judge who started playing Magic around 8th edition, enjoys Modern Commander, CEGH, Cuban drafting. Outside of Magic, he loves running, teaching, and an occasional cult movie. Thanks, Corey, for bringing your professional technical macroeconomic aptitude to the game. Well, you hear that sound, you know what time it is. Is Tom Mitchell in the house? If he is, give me a shout out. We're gonna run some movers. Are you? Let's check the comments here. Are you folks pre-ordering anything from the Amazon store? Have you ordered anything? Anybody? 100% say no. We'll say no. Say no, Brody. I told you, bro. No. hanging out in the lobby with the folks here. Let's just read a couple of chats here. What are we gonna do? We gotta run some lists. We gotta run some lists. Let's get the chat working here this morning, folks. I'm gonna hit the movers and the shakers list here this morning. Benson, you're sad because you're not on the free Treons. Well, you know, I gotta say, when I started the show, just gonna let you know, I was pretty certain nobody was gonna watch. So I asked some of my friends to join the first ever free Treon. And they said, what the heck is that, Brody? There's no such thing. I've heard of Patreons. I said, no, it's a free Treon. What's the educate? Arliss says, Professor is important. He's achieved education of the highest degree. What education is that? Listen to Professor. His professions are always profound. Anger's in the house. I don't know what I don't know, but Corey is a PhD candidate in macroeconomics. Are you talking about Corey? We're talking about Corey. Professor Williams, perhaps? Arliss? Richie? It's good in prowess, too. All right, Arliss, I got a question for you. What list do you want to run this morning? Arliss, we're going to do the movers and the shakers here this morning. Arliss, I need some help from the viewers this morning. Please give me a hand here. We ran modern yesterday, so we got choices here today. What list do we want to take a look at? We got choices. We looked at modern yesterday. We could look at standard. It seems like some Phyrexial will be some Pabo cards. Some Phyrexial all will be one cards are starting to make their way on the standard list, so that's good. We could look at the legacy list, vintage list, everything all together, or just March of the Machines in itself. What do you like? What would you do you have any preference whatsoever? Please let me know in the comments section. Because I know I just want to go to the legacy list. I want to go like the vintage and legacy list this morning. That's what I'm sort of leaning towards. We looked at pauper cards. I think we looked at modern ones, standard already. Do we want to go to the vintage side? Let me know. Proper planning prevents piss poor. I posted a pre-buy duck race special for my Friday game night. If anyone thinking of playing duck race for a bundle, cool for all who pre-buy before 8 p.m. Duck racing over Twiddlers for a bundle on Friday night. If you haven't checked it out, let's go there. All right, let's do the legacy list. Love it, man. All the alliterations are coming in. I love it. Arliss, profound professions are professors. Profound professions are always profound. Richie Dunn says, proper planning prevents poor performance. Everybody. I love it. Okay, let's do the legacy side here this morning. I haven't checked the legacy card prices in a little while. I'm excited to do it. Let's get ready to run this list. All right, first up on the list this morning, we've got the Force Field. This is an older card. Now, some of these cards on the reserve list around the $500 to $600 mark have actually been sort of coming down in price. And I don't really understand how that's even possible when everything else on the store shelf at the grocery store is going up 30 and 40%. These novelty items seem to be just drifting down or softening, but this one here is taking a poke up in price. I want to look at the chart on Force Field. This is the unlimited version, and this one seems like this is where you would generally see this card at about $600 to $700 in this market. Now, let's take a look at the chart because it's up 40%, and that seems like a lot. Seems like a big price spike, but when a card's been moving down for some time, it's not likely it's not a big price spike respectively. 40% gain after seeing significant losses. It just shows a little bit of volatility. Time capsule. Good morning, fella. Thanks for joining the stream. We're taking a look at some of the legacy list today. This is going to be, it contains some reserve lists. It's worth mentioning that this is a card. Like, how good is this card? Well, it's 3 mana. It's 3 mana, and it's the counterpart to this card, Jade Monolith. And this isn't if this was your choices. So Jade Monolith was reprinted after Unlimited, and Force Field was not. Jade Monolith was the other artifact that redirects damage for 1. This one's actually seen a bit of a tick up in price, and it's coming around $14 because of the usefulness with Davriel, or I think it's Davriel, the soldier guy that when creatures take damage, you make that many soldier tokens. Darian, King of Keldor. So close. Safe at second. Safe at second choice. The next time a source will do damage to target creature this turn, that source deal damage to you instead. And then the good one that everybody wanted instead of that, because there was nothing to work with it, was this one, Force Field, and it never got reprinted. It got thrown on the reserve list. So this 3-mana artifact says tap, pay 1. The next time an unblocked creature of your choice would deal combat damage to you this turn, prevent all but 1 of that damage. So you can only take 1. You can't take more than 1 damage. It's not possible. You can't, it's like, sorry, I swinging with a 10-10 Crater Hoof. I'll take 1. So that's pretty darn powerful. Decks using it likely going to be Commander, but this card is trending down in price, and now it's seen a poke up in popularity. This is another card that I want to take a look at, see what the vendors are selling it for. If you want one, I would just wait a little while, because if this prices of Magic cards keep drifting this way, we might be able to pick one of these up on sale. I don't need one of these, but if you do, it's a great card. It's played with the Karn, the Silver Golem, Rabinia Soulstringer, Guafa Hazard Profiteer. Oh, I want to see the Profiteer. And the Soul Slinger deck. Oh, this card, the Human Rogue. The Zorius 2/2, legendary creature, Human Rogu. A white and a blue, tap it, put a bribery counter on target creature you don't control. Its controller draws a card. Creature with bribery counters on them can't attack or block. Oh my god, this is a heck of a card. I like it. Force Field's included in that card deck. It's expensive. It's a card on the reserve list. It's probably going to take a little while for this thing to drift down in price. The vendors got 2 in stock, and that's what they're selling it for $560. You can get a heavily played copy for $200 or $300. Look at this. So price disparity, right? This is another thing, another term that stock markers were used. The new term today, channel. It's also the new stock market term is also a channel. Let's see if there's any channels. If this is trading in and out of any channels. Not really. It's got this weird pattern. I like to look at these charts because I like the patterns. Like this one's like up, over, kind of like a tabletop pattern. And it goes up, and then it goes flat on top, and then goes down again, and then up, over, and it's making these like plateau type shapes. No channels here. Sorry, Forest Field. we're going to go take a look at the rest of the movers and the shakers today, but that's the top mover this Thursday. And Sliver Queen up 21%. See, it's like going to get to a point where these cards get cheap enough and people just start buying them up. People are like, I'm in on Sliver Queen now. It's come down far enough. So let's check this card. It's also up 21 points. I wouldn't get too excited about it. I'm not saying like now we got to run out and buy these if you can find them cheaper. Let's wait a while. I've been saying this. Go wait a while. Wait till we see some sales, some super high end sales. We want to see the buzzwords in. So this is what's happening, right? This is a show where we're putting it all together because you folks, as we want to get some fun into our collection, and some of these reserved list cards look like a lot of fun, but we don't want to pay too much for them, right? So now what's happening is that Amazon is going to be dumping all these products on pre-release, and Wizards is trying to play dodgeball and drum up cash for 2023 in desperation mode. It's coming at you, folks. Here come all the products. Get ready to play dodgeball. If you can dodge a collector booster of Phyrexia, all will be one. You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball. If you can dodge a collector booster of Commander 2023 Masters, you can dodge a ball. If you can dodge Lord of the Rings collector booster bundle, you can dodge a ball. Like, they're throwing so many products at the, and I keep saying consumer because that's the graph that they have where it's like the consumer. I call them players, like we're people, you know. So they're going to be throwing so many products at people this year in order, and it's just a shotgun blast. Chuck Norris in the door kicks open, it just gives two spray shot. Just everybody's gonna get a little buckshot, right? We got Lord of the Rings, we got we got Phyrexia March of Machines, we got all these Commander Masters coming out, and who knows what we got new showcase masterpiece foils. There's something for everybody. It's coming. Okay, so I would say you don't need to rush out and buy all these products because maybe try and dodge some of them and pick them up on the secondary market. That might be an idea. I'm not willing to go out and sell the farm for any of these sets that are on pre-order. Now, are they going to be good? Who knows? But I'd rather get my hands on some of these reserve list cards, like this one, the Sliver Queen. So let's wait a while. This thing's like a $200 or $300 card. It's finally taken a poke up in price, but that doesn't mean you should run out and get one because when all these products are launching on Amazon, this is gonna be backbreaking, and nobody's throwing anybody a bone here. Nobody's throwing any local game stores a bone, and that's disillusional. That's far disillusional. If anybody thinks that local game stores are getting any kind of a bone here, the only bone they're getting is the one that's directed at them from behind, it's hitting them in the back of the head, and that's because there's this Amazon dumps that is coming to everybody to crush the local game store. So the bigger ones, so the smaller the ones are going to fail first. It's sad to say, but the bigger ones, the major ones, they're the ones that are too big to fail, like the Lehman Brothers of cards, the Snowballs, and the Castle Kingdoms. Those ones are going to have inventory, right? They're going to have lots of inventory of these things, and they're going to have to pay rent. If people aren't walking in the door to buy Magic from them, they're going to have to switch products to something else, and they're going to start flipping singles. You can pick it up on sale later, third quarter. Wait till Wizards has a bad quarter, and they start chucking more product at it. It's a bad quarter, more products, right? That's what's happening. So wait a while. If you want to pick up yourself a Sliver Queen, you could probably get one pretty cheap right now. Let's look at this. $200 or $300. Now, is that cheap? No, that's like a mortgage payment right there. I'm serious. But it's had an all-time high of $400. All right. And it's been trending down in price. This is almost what some people would call a flag pattern, right? So there's these other patterns and I want to zoom in just right here because there's some other stock market patterns that I want to discuss. We talked about channels, and then there's this flagpole, the flag pattern. So the flag pattern is a pattern that looks like this. I'm going to draw it for you, and this isn't a very good example of it, but if you look at go look at some other charts, right? Anything. If you guys you guys are smart people, right? You have eyeballs and everything. You've seen charts out there before. Of course you have. You've seen crypto charts, you've seen bank stock charts, you've seen oil stock charts, you've seen, all the charts for, if you've ever traveled, you looked at exchange rates when you look at one thing next to another. They are kind of complicated, and you're like, okay, sometimes, like, for most people, they're like, what's the price? They just look at it and that's the end of it. But if you look for like patterns in this thing, so like this is one of these patterns. It's called a flag pattern. So it's when it takes a bump up like this, and it makes this triangle shape, and then it goes like a flag. What color flag do we want? And then it runs. Oh, we're running blue, and then it goes this way, and it'll go east and west for a while, and then it'll make another flag pattern. So I'll draw the flag pattern. Actually, let's get just like the regular pen, because this is like all Brody wants to do with you folks. It's like, I just want to write lines on charts. So we'll draw the flag. Okay. So this is a flag pattern. Now, here is something that I've researched and looked into over the years. This happens regularly in groups of 3. So it'll come up, it'll make this triangle up shape, and I'm exaggerating here because this is why it's called a flag pattern. These are considered like the flags, right? And it's up and then it's slowly down and then it'll move sideways. But these flags tend to come in 3s, okay? Or more. It could happen, in sets of 3. But generally if it'll happen in sets of 3, there'll be one leg up, and then there'll be interest in it, and then another leg up, and then interest in it, and then another leg up. In this case, we got this flag pattern here, very nice flag pattern, and there's 3 of them. So this would suggest, like, if this pattern is going to keep going, but you see the spacing in between here. So look at the spacing in between the flags. This is important. This is important. The spacing, see, if you want to kind of get an idea, like, when's the probability of the next flag going to be? You see how they start gradually getting larger and larger? So, like, what Brody's saying is, if you, like, draw this whole thing, if you make the whole picture, the whole movie, the whole cartoon, if you play it back and you want to be like, okay, let's replay this entire movie, the next price spike is here, but it's farther apart, right? Like, the space in between the flags gets bigger. So flags will generally happen in a set of 3, and they'll be tightly spaced together. And then after that, it's like, don't hold your breath, right? Okay, so that's where some people get caught up in this type of a trade scenario, because they're waiting for the next flag. There's already been 3 and it doesn't happen. So don't hold your breath for this next flag. That's what I'm trying to tell you. 2 is good. There's likely a third. If you can get it on the second one, you're probably speculating really hard. You're like, I see a flag here, I'm going in on it. If you hit the second one, you're like, there's a third one coming, and that's always the big one. Okay, right here. And this is true for anything. Like, it's a pattern that reoccurs. I just want to show you the pattern, and hopefully you guys can leave me a comment in the comment section below. Does Brody draw on charts well enough? Let me check the comment section. We're talking about flags. We got Illusionary Mask. This is another unlimited card that just sees no reprint since didn't see a reprint in Revised. No way, can't have it. Let's check the comments. Micro Super Backer, we're good with Legacy, right? Arliss, Super Backer, Twiddler, Richie Dubs, Time Capsule. Appreciate all you folks for joining us. Spirit of the Night is here. The queen should move, right? It should. There's a new sliver deck coming out. This queen should move. All right. Good to know. Thanks for the tip. So there's a tip, right? Spirit of the Night says there's a new sliver deck coming out, and that sliver queen should probably move. So this next flag that I'm talking about, that's going to be like here. It's going to be, it could be coming. It's probably like, it's soon. It's going to come soon, another couple of months. But don't, the thing about recessions is the slow economical slowdowns or shortages or whatever you want to call it, recessions. The problem with them is they can tend to outlast people's attrition. Their rate to cope with a recession. So don't bet the farm on sliver queens. thinking it's going to double in price. Coach says, I'm the one, yes, on pre-order. Timmy, I got Lord of the Ring gift bundle pre-ordered. Good for you. I'm glad you did. You deserve it. Hope you get the good stuff. I have no idea what's in there, but I'm just like, I'm like gonna be picky and choosy, right? Good for you. If that's the one for you, I hope it's good. I hope it's a darn good one. Good for you. You deserve it, coach. I'm not saying don't. I'm late for the game, Brody Clad, man. Brody Clad's here with the coach in my game bag. I'm not saying don't buy these products. I just say stay informed. That's all I'm saying to folks. I'm saying stay informed, know what's coming at you, and don't think that you have to rush in and overcommit to any of these products. You know, go on a second date. Maybe go on a first date. You're gonna go. So, coach is going on a first date with the Lord of the Rings collect bundle, gift bundle. Good for him. And if it, maybe you go on a second date. I don't know if the first date goes well. Sometimes, if maybe it goes so well that you're like, I'm never gonna go there again. I don't know. Like, I got all the good stuff. I don't need to buy some more. That happens. That happens. I bought 1 or 2 packs of Iconic Masters. Hit the mana drain in the thought season, another pack, and I was like, I'm not buying anymore. So maybe you get the good stuff. Let's look at Illusionary Mask. It's an interesting card, and this is like, I love the Moxman channel for a lot of things. Like, one, he's got some thought-provoking conversation over there, and it's good to make folks think. And if Brody's thinking, well, that's good. We're above ground and life is happening, but it gets the gears going. He told a story, a really good story about this card, and it was a way it was used, and I never would have considered. Somebody put an Ali from Cairo underneath this card. Let's read it. 2 mana, X, and you may choose a creature card in your hand whose mana card cost could be paid with some amount of mana. So in the story the Moxman was telling you to talk about was Ali from Cairo, which is a card that says you can't lose the game for having 1 or less than 1 life. If you do, you may cast that card face down as a 2/2 creature spell without paying its mana cost. So this card, it's got like we said earlier, it's on the reserve list. This is Morph. Before Morph was a thing. You may play a creature face down without paying its mana cost. If the creature that spell becomes as it resolves has not been turned face up and it would assign combat damage, be dealt damage, or become tapped, instead turn it face up and it assigns damage and it's dealt damage and becomes tapped. Activate as a sorcery. So morph it face up. Right? This is the original morph card. So then I gotta say, this was the inspiration for the morph mechanic, except they put a reserve list sticker on it. They're like, we're close with this one, but we don't want to revisit this whole mechanic. We're going to do it a different way. Another guardrail on the freeway, right? But Illusionary Mask, it's pretty interesting. It's a collectible card. I think you could probably build a morph deck with it. Now let's look at this one here. We got some legs up in price. Let's check out the legs on this Illusionary Mask. It goes, what color are we going to have? We're going to have a new color. I want green. I can pick my colors. Cool. Okay, so I want a thicker pen. Can we get a big pen? Brody's got the big pen. I want to smell it. It smells like candied apples. Okay, so the first leg up is here. This is the first little flag here. Second flag pattern here. And like this next one's going to be going east to west for quite a while. And it could be sometime before this thing takes a tick up in price. So what's coming is like, if the third flag is coming. Anger has already sold a queen. I saw his short about it. Ooh, Anger's dropping queens on the market. Flexing in the comments section. I like it. It's all good. Are you buying anything on pre-order? Interesting card decks using it. No decks found. Somebody make a morph deck, Oh, I find it hard to believe that Illusionary Mask isn't played in any decks, but nevertheless, it's on the reserve list. It's a couple $100. How much can we get it at the vendor store? And is there stock on it? There's one available for 150. See, these charts aren't always right. And I find that like I'm not even kidding you. I started doing a magic show for folks because I felt so lonely. Brody felt lonely because he had no one to talk about these magic charts with. So I wake up in the morning and look at them and go, okay, cool. It's $250, but like I can get it for 150 at the vendor store. I should just buy it, right? And like you got nobody to talk about. You're like, this is what I'm thinking. So I have a feeling that a lot of these price guide sites, these online scries, these online price guides, I have a feeling these online price guides are are put together in a way that actually drives sales to the store. That's what they want. So don't get caught up in it. If it's happened to me, it's probably happened to you. You look at these prices and you're like, wow, this card's spiking. I got to buy it. In some cases, yes, that works out, but like be very selective. Like Coach with his Lord of the Rings bundle. He's like, that's the one for me. You know, pick the right product in the right time and think about it, right? And don't overspend. There's one of these available. You can get it from the Card Castle. There's graded copies available. You can get a 9 in CCGC, which is some other grading company that I don't really know. And then the medium price seems to be about 159 to 160 bucks. Despite what this list has to say, here's another card that's up 3 points. Chains of Mephistopheles. Say it 10 times fast. Mephistopheles, Mephistopheles, Mephistopheles. I want to see the comments. I thought I would see more morph decks when they made Ephemerate in games, not sets. Agreed. I would love... Morph is one of my favorite mechanics. It's really cool. I like to play a few morph deck cards. I like the one that morphs and makes the Saprolings. I'm playing some morph in the Saprolings deck. Yeah. So I mean there's a few cards that I'm quite fond of. And the fact that you can morph, see the special thing about morph is that like it's like channel, right? You can't interact with it in a way. Like it's not casting a spell, it's just happens. How do you counter somebody discarding a card with channel? Pretty difficult to do. It's a spell that's not a spell. If I blink a morph, it comes back flipped. Yeah, and then most of these morph creatures have a really good ETB, right? It's really good. Let's look at this chains card because this is played. I hope to crack a case of Commander Masters collectors for everyone. Not a boy, DJ. So I like what DJ's doing. He's a custodian of the game. He's getting magic out to the folks, making it fun. Chains of Mephistopheles. This is sort of like if you want a cheaper version of this, I'll put it up on the screen here. If you want the same mechanic and you don't want to pay $1,000 for it, you can get something like this. It's 2 mana. It's the Anvil of Bogarden. It costs 44 bucks. Wow, it's on the reserve list too, mind you. And this card's been moving up in price for a long time. This says players have no max hand size, so this is great in Commander. It's a really good card from Visions that really wasn't popular. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card, then discards. So everybody draws 2 and discards 1, and you can't have a max hand size. Chains costs 1 black and 1 is an enchantment and says if a player would draw a card except for the first one they draw in their draw step each turn, that player discards a card instead. So this one's a little opposite. You discard first, then draw. If a player discards a card this way, then they draw a card. If the player doesn't discard a card this way, they put the top card of their library into their graveyard. So Anvil of Bogarden says each player gets an additional draw and then discards. And then Chains of Mephistopheles says if you would draw, you discard, and then you draw a card. So it's a little bit backwards. The price disparity here on these two is incredible because one is $1,340, one is $40, and they're both on the reserve list. Decks using it. Let's see here. Tegra, the god of fright. Thrasios, Titan Hero. Timna, Animatu, Gitrog Monster. What do you think of the new Gitrog and Thalia mashup? I like these mashed up cards. What do you think? I revamped the Morph Commander Precon, but have yet to play it. There's a Morph Precon. Prime 406 Games is in the house. Super cold day. Couldn't get the truck to start. It was minus 27 or minus 30 here this morning. Holy smokes. Or yesterday morning it was minus 20, and they got minus 30 during the lunchtime. And I was like, how is it colder in the middle of the day than it is first thing in the morning? I don't know. Prime, I'm glad you arrived safely. Big hug to you, my man. Patron, Prime 406 Games. Appreciate you for joining the stream here today. Super cool. We got folks in the house. Arliss is here. Mr. DJ Longhair here. Richie Does. Titaniman. Spirit of the Night. Lingering. The Spirit of the Night is lingering. It's still dark out. So we've got the Spirit of the Night here. Time Capsule. Benson. Mr. Richie Dubs. Michael Superbacker. And tonight's the roundtable discussion over at Mr. DJ Longhair's. I think we'll probably see Prime 406 over there. We're taking a look at the price of Chains of Mephistopheles. I can't help but wonder, does the Anvil go in Tegrid and Thrasios as well? Let's just take a look. Yeah, Tegris and Sheoldred. Oh, with Sheoldred, right? Yes. I think the Anvil's better because it gives you 2 draws. The other one makes you discard and then draw. But so Tegrid God of Fright is running both of these. Let's take a look at the Tegrid deck. This is the discardy deck. Yes, this is the flippy overy one. Oh gosh, this is a good card. Should be more, I think. But Menache. It's got Menache. It's a 4/5. It's 2 black and 3. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent. Whenever opponent sacks a permanent or discards a permanent, you may put a card from the graveyard in the battlefield. Just anything. Reanimate anything. If they discard, you get to put you may put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield. Why am I not running this in my discard deck? Brody, grab the pen and paper. I'm writing this down. And I hope you folks do too. I learn something every time I got to put on Tegrid on the list. Because I know I have a Tegrid. I'm not running it in the discard deck. I'm heading over to Murray's this weekend to play a little Commander. He's coming back, and we may end up doing some streaming. We may end up streaming a 4-player Commander game if we can get it together. So that might be a little bit of fun. What else do we got in here? I got to add that. We got the Plague Crafter. Yeah, all the stuff. All the discards. Tiny Bones. Torak Dread Cantor. That's where the chains goes. I don't have a chains, but I'm running the Anvil because it just does the same thing for a little bit cheaper. Northern Paladin from Unlimited. Pay 2 white and tap it, destroy any black permanent. Seems fine. This is seemingly good in Commanders. It's also a knight, isn't it? No, it's a Paladin. Oh yeah, it is a human knight. Paladins have been errated to be human knights. I gotta make myself another cup of coffee here. Let's refresh this. Let's look at the Northern Paladin. He's up here in the cold of winter as well, doing the best that he can to not freeze. Good old Paladin. It's fine. It's the morning. It's Magic Stocks. It's Brody. We're running the movers and the shakers list. We got to have a little bit of tunes here this morning. That's fine too. Thanks for joining in. What else we got here? Let's look and see if we can see any channels, flags, or patterns on this. Okay, this is like a plateau on this Northern Paladin. This one's kind of just running east. It's an east-west chart. It's nothing, but there is a spike. Look at this spike, right? This doesn't mean too much. It just means like this spike could seem little one day if there's a new spike. So this card's spiky. It's spiky. It can see a spike. There's a pretty good tick up in price right here. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. The Northern Paladin I want to see. Rubinia Soul Slinger. This is a deck using it. Soul Slinger? Destroy target black creature. This would be good if you could put it on like with a Slate of Mind. Something where you could, let's see if they have it. Do they have Slate of Mind? The one Magical Hack and Slate of Mind. Yes, Magical Hack. Is there Slate of Mind? Yes. I love it. This is awesome. So the Rubinia Soul Slinger deck. You may choose not to untap Rubinia. Gain control of target creature for as long as you control Rubinia. So this is like she's got the Mariki Rebarrett ability on her, and she has green in her color identity. So like I first creature deck in Commander Brody ever built was Mariki Rebarrett, and this one, the Rubinia, she does the same thing. Her and Mariki could be sisters. Why not? I gotta turn the volume down. Get a little too shaky here. Sorry about that, folks. So if you can land the Northern Paladin and it says destroy a black permanent, then you can change the color that it says on here, so you can destroy whatever color permanent you want. Or maybe you want to just make stuff blue. You know, you want to... Where's this? The laces. Phantasmal lace. Prismatic lace. Maybe that's a card that we want to run. Just make it black. So you can either change it to destroy any color of your choosing, or paint that card black and destroy it. Links out shortly on the roundtable. Sounds good, buddy. DJ, hope to join you on the roundtable. Cool. We're gonna see Twiddler on the roundtable. I gotta watch. I haven't seen Twiddler on the roundtable. I'd like to get it when. Whoa, okay. Links out shortly. Unlimited Northern Pally. You have the Unlimited Northern Pally. This card's a real pal. So be a pal. Let's join the channel. Check out the prices of Magic cards. Candelabra. Okay. Oh, this is a card that this is exciting. I'm waiting for this card. Now, this card here, Candelabra of Tawnos. Disclaimer. Now, the MTG Moxman talked about this card on his live stream on Sunday. He did. I had a little discussion with the Moxman. He says, Brody, I was about to call you. This is a card that I'm very fond of. And if you want to talk about speculation, a few years ago, and when we did hear about the possibility of an Urza Mishra set and the announcement of Brothers War, this card should have taken a little bit of folks' interest. I know it took my interest because I thought they would get something better out of Brothers War. And quite honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm really disappointed with the Brothers War because it had zero interaction with this card. There was no land that came out like the Mishra's Workshop or any of the posts that this works well with. We didn't get anything that is worthwhile to target with the Candelabra of Tawnos, or something that activates the Candelabra of Tawnos or makes it a little bit better. So I'm a little bit saddened about that, but my fingers are still crossed. And I'm hoping that this card gets some equity and some synergy reprinted with it. And if it does, it's going to go crazy. I am holding copies of this card, a couple copies of this card for myself. So I'm interested to see what happens to it, because I did pick it up when it was cheap years ago. And that's good if you have a couple extra copies. But it would be nice if we had a little more interaction. I play it in Legacy. I love this card in Legacy. I wanted to build the Post deck, so it's played in Cloud Post, and it makes lots of mana. Let's check it out. It's $1,015. I want to look at the chart on it and just sort of drag this back for you folks here today. So right around here, the card was sitting around $350 back in 16 and 17. Pretty cheap for a reserve list card. And then around 2018 and a half, this card's seen it pick up in price. Now, it's a lower tier reserve list card. Now, let's just a couple of things about this card. Let's just look at this here. It's a U2, right? But there's some U2s, and what I'm talking about, okay, so it's actually called a rare here, right? See, they call it a rare, but it's actually an uncommon, but there's only 2 of them on the sheet, which is the same as a rare. So it's correctly marked here. It should be a rare, but it was actually printed. That's only kind of come out in the last 10 years where people are just advertising and saying this cards are rare. But there was a period of time when this card was stuck in the U2 slot. Oh, it's an uncommon. And that's why it didn't draw too much attention. Everyone was like, well, it's uncommon. It's not that hard to get. There's other uncommons in the set that aren't worth too much money, and it should be just as easy to get. But it's not. It's a rare, and it's an uncommon too. It's a rare, and it's seen a price kick up in price here. And it looks like, let's look and see if we can put some patterns together for you folks here on this little chart. We'll get some new color. We're going to go with a beautiful light brown color, because of the artifact theme. Oh, that's just far too large. We're going to tune the pencil. We're going to put down the Bic pen, and we're going to grab a Sharpie. So we got a flag here. And we got a flag here. And we got a flag over here. Boom. So this is flag number 3, right? And then, like, you notice how they get farther and farther apart, right? So we're looking to see if we're going to get a spike in the candelabra. I was actually back here. This is what Brody was predicting, and I was wrong. That's okay. I'll be wrong again. Don't you worry. I'll be wrong plenty of times in life. I'll be wrong so many times that it'll get smarter and it'll make me right eventually. I was predicting that we would have seen a spike right around here when the Brothers War was announced, with the spoilers and getting some artifacty goodness that might have made this card a little bit better. Because I was sort of thinking this lines up with the way this pattern is showing out very nicely right here. But the thing about the Moxman's channel that I really liked is he's tracking the price. He said 20 of these. I think he said 19 of these sold in a week. So who's buying them? There's only 2 available from the vendor store, and they're beat up copies. They're $769. You want to talk about price disparity and multipliers when it comes to graded copies? This card is insane. This card is, let's look here. Graded 8 and graded 7. This card, whoa, I almost choked. I see the price of this card, $8,025 for a graded copy of this. This card's expensive. There's no doubt about it. But if you can find it on eBay, this is what this has led to is everybody hawking their moderately played and their heavy play cards for about $750. Get a decent condition, an 8.5 here. This looks pretty good for $1,500. And then there's a PSA 7 for $1,000. I would stay away from maybe the 7s. An 8.5 would be a really nice copy. A 9 would be better. $1,500 seems pretty good. But there's a lot of price disparity when it comes to the graded copies of this card. The premium for graded copies, I think it should be higher than than the $1,500 mark that we're seeing. But nevertheless, the candelabra is a favorite. And this card, the Mox Diamond. Now, here's a perfect card for the Stock and Talks show. I love it. This is a great card. These are 2 good cards that get me excited. I've been wanting to see. Folks don't understand. It's like, maybe you do. You do understand. I know you understand that Brody just wants to talk about Magic cards, and like some of the cards comes up, and I don't have much to say. And I need a little bit of help from my friends. You know, you're like, Brody, that card you're talking about, it's actually really bad. Or it actually works with this card. Or it's not as good as you say it is. Or you're forgetting something. But there's a few of these cards that like are near and dear to me. Like that's one of them. This other card that I'm going to talk to you about now. This is where, and I'm telling you, this is where Brody's building legacy. Brody wants to build a lands deck. And the lands deck's uber expensive, and it has a lot of cards in it that cost a lot of money. So I had been watching Mox Diamond for a long time, a couple of years, in fact. And then this is where people say Mox Diamond is the reason for me standing up and saying, watch for the super high end sale. Okay? Mox Diamond is the reason for it, because when I picked up my copies of Mox Diamond to get my playset, I bought them on sale at the super high-end sale the last time it happened, and it was the last market cycle where everything crashed and the stores got hammered by new products, and just they suffered, and Magic wasn't selling. There was just too much products. Like, it wrecked the market. The last time the local game store marketplace got wrecked because of Wizards shoving too many products down the local game store's throat, where they have to like constantly buy the new product just to keep up, and if they don't, they'll fall behind, and then the products, some of them don't sell and they're stuck with them, so then they have to sell them on discount, and then it's affecting their bottom line. So what do? After 6 or 8 months of that, they look over the showcase and they're sitting on all this high-end inventory, and they're like, well, I guess we got to blow out all this high-end inventory. Nobody's buying it. So they have the super high-end sales. And that's where I picked up the Mox Diamond. Now this thing has been going up in price, and it was like 200, about $175. It was cheap for a Mox Diamond. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? I think that's a mistake. So I bought a couple, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I didn't think too many of it. If I was a little bit more cunning and a little more clever and a little more crafty, I would have loaded up the truck with every Mox Diamond they had at that price, because I know the card is good. But it did the same sort of thing with Lion's Eye Diamond. I only needed one, and I bought it for $80. And when I was standing there at the showroom, I picked out the one I wanted and said, thank you very much. See you later. And at that time, I could have had as many as I wanted for around the $50 mark. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. So, like, if you want to get the fun into your Magic the Gathering collection, and these cards, some of these cards are really fun to play with, just sit back and watch and wait a little while. And when you see that opportunity to pick up some of these cards on sale, I suggest you do it. I'm waiting to do the same. So let's talk about the Mox Diamond. This card is in the lands deck. It's 0 mana. It's one of the last original Moxes. I think it is the last original Mox, and I don't care what anybody else says about these other new Moxes. This one costs 0. It comes into play untapped. All you do is, it says, when it comes into play, choose and discard a land card or sacrifice Mox Diamond. So little trick on playing this card. If you do play one, don't show anybody. Like, if you played Legacy, you're playing Commander, or you're playing competitively, don't show anybody the card you're going to discard when you put this down on the battlefield. You play this card, you put it down, you say, cast Mox Diamond. Then you wait. Because Brody's derped it so many times. I'm like, okay, I'm going to discard this and cast Mox Diamond. And they're like, counter it. And then you're like, oh. So it doesn't work the way you think it does. It says, if it would enter the battlefield, you may discard a land card instead. So you say, I'm going to cast Mox Diamond. So you don't discard unless it would enter, right? Because if they counter it, you're not supposed to discard. But then all of a sudden they go, well, you're not supposed to discard that card, but thanks for showing me a card in your hand. And you're like, I'm so new to Magic. I didn't realize you could misplay Mox Diamond. Yes, you can misplay Mox Diamond really easy. So if it would enter, I cast Mox Diamond. Does it resolve? Yes. All right. So then it would enter. Now I discard a land card. If you do, put Mox Diamond onto the battlefield. If you don't, put it in its owner's graveyard. Taps for mana of any color, comes into play untapped, and it gives you any color mana, and it's great. It doesn't require any other, activation costs. You don't need a legendary creature. It doesn't suspend. It's like, this is when, like, Moxes were the last of the Moxes, when Moxes were Moxes. And let's have some Magic the Gathering Stoxes and Toxuses. This card's $639. It seems quite pricey. Ooh, let's see. Okay, I want to zoom in on this part of the price chart from January 2016 to January 2019. Let's zoom in here, and I want to show you some more flags. Hi there, folks. Do you like Fun with Flags with Sheldon Cooper? This is Fun with Flags. I used to love that show. It was good while it was on the air. It was really good. All things being equal, well, let's draw some flags. Let's have some fun with flags. Okay, so here's a flag here. And if you would have been around in 2016, I just want to show you what this would have looked like. Just so you know, if we could, let's go back in time. So let's go back in time to the 2016 version of Brody's Morning Show. And we get up and we see this. A price spike from $31 to $90. Okay, that's what this would have looked like. Now, I want to. This is what I want to talk to you folks about because this is important. So we get up. It's 2016 and a half. You know, Brody's ahead of the curve on YouTube because he's live streaming and he's got all this technology. And 6 years, 7 years ago, I'd have been awesome at this. So it's 2016, 2015. It's a 2000 just into 2016. Zendikar just come out. We're coming up to Shatters over Innistrad, and like we wake up in the morning and there's this spike up, 300% increase in Mox Diamond, going from $30 to $90. That is literally the equivalent. You would have woke up and be like, oh my, that's ridiculous. It's too much money. Dang, should have bought it. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But like $90 is like in today's market is still a good price, right? You'd be like, holy smokes, I wish I could buy Mox Diamonds for $90. So then time goes on. Time marches on. Here we go on. And then there's that flag pattern. And then it goes like east to west for a few years. And then boom, it goes up to $200. So like there it is again. It's like almost another like 90 to 200. So there's like a 200% increase, right? That's the next leg up, the next flag. And you'd be like, Brody, that's insane. Mox Diamond is just way too much. I'm never buying it. And then like there's this price denial, right? So then the third flag happens in 2018, and this card spikes up to 600, I think, just like 500, maybe some reserveless buyouts, who knows. New deck. I think it was the Storm deck that really put this card over the edge. Now, boom, wake up. Now it goes from 200 to 500. And then you're like, wow, that's another 100% increase, 150% increase. But like for the guy who bought it at 30, that's like a 10 times increase. Like that's 10 times, right? So these walls, these price spikes, and then we zoom into today, right? Then we've got now we've got this channel pattern sort of forming here. New word for everybody on the show here. We're going to discuss channels. So there's this channel pattern that starts to happen right around here where the stock sort of trades in this little range, where this card trades in between this range. And it's like, I think I want to be 500 or 600, but I'm going to just take my time getting there. And then this is like sort of where we are here. It's trapped inside this trading channel where it's got this upper resistance level of 600 or 700 that's slowly moving higher, and then this lower resistance level of 400 to 500 where it doesn't seem to want to go any lower. Okay, but if you would have woken up on that day, you'd have been like, "Holy smokes, that's an incredible spike up in price. I wish I had bought Mox Diamond." So it's at a certain point, these cards you can't. It's just like I can't buy it. It's like the change the Mephistopheles. I can't spend $1,000. I can't do it. But decks using it, the Lands deck and Legacy, of course, Urza Lord High, bunch of famous decks using it. Recently bought a Bog Wraith, Phantasmal Terrain, Healing Salve, Power Leak, along with Leeches. Anyone have any of these or know if they're good? What set did you buy? Bog Wraith is the 3/3 Swamp Walker. Phantasmal Terrain is the one that changes the land to a land of your choosing. Healing Salve gains you 3. It's a nostalgic card. That one's not particularly good, but if it's unlimited or in a revised copy or even a 4th edition, an older copy, those are good. And Power Leak is really good. Leeches is good too. I know all those cards. Those are all great cards, Michael Superbacker. They're not particularly competitive in modern and standard formats, but if you got the version that has all those are all old school playable cards, I think, except for the Leeches. Power Leak is playable in old school. Healing Salve, Terrain, Phantasmal Terrain, Bog Wraith. We had price guides by then, if I remember correctly, so we knew some had value. Benson says, still, Zombie says, they do buy a couple packs, throw some games, toss them in the trash, go home. A couple days later, go back to the LGS and do it again. They didn't want to carry him around, I guess. I said that about the Lotus, Brody. Buy a bunch of packs. You should invest in a bulk box, right? I threw away a bunch of 4th and 5th edition cards. Mana Vaults, because they're garbage. Oh, no. Zombie Master. Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, mana vaults sucked. Mana vaults were like, oh, it takes damage. This sucks, right? Totally. I would have literally thrown away my mana vault, but I just like put it in a box and then just forgot about it, right? It just was like there were so many cards that there's so many cards. Pulp Fiction. Are we got Pulp Fiction references in the chat? Holy smokes! Zombie Masters in the house. Thanks for joining the chat. Let's take a look at another Magic card. Mox Time, City of Traders. Oh, here's a card that seems to keep going up in price. This is another soul land. And why do I call it that? Because it taps for 2, just like a soul ring. So this card, and I'll tell you, I'll share another bad beat about City of Traders with you, okay? So Brody wants to build Big Red Legacy Painter Servant. Painter Servant. Combo deck and Legacy. Brody, I'm going for it. I'm going to build Legacy. I'm going to build a red deck. I'm going to build my favorite. I'm going to put my favorite creature in there, Goblin Welder, Grindstone, and Painter Servant. Kaladesh Inventions have just been printed. I got them all ordered on pre-order for $30 a piece, and I'm getting them. I'm building Painter Servant. So I'm like, which one am I going to do? Am I going to do the City of Traders or I'm going to do the Ancient Tomb? Well, I bought the Ancient Tomb reprint foils because like there was a period of time with lands where I'm like, I should buy the foils. I shouldn't buy the foils. So Ancient Tomb is where I bought the foils and should have bought, first of all, the City of Traders. Instead, picked the wrong card because this card went up to $300 or $400 and I could have got, a whole play set for the exact. It was a time that this card was almost the same as in price. It was a comparable choice between this and Ancient Tomb. But I went with the Ancient Tombs. I must have looked at too many deck lists. This card seems to be drifting east-west in price with a couple of legs up over time. We see this flag pattern a couple of times here. Again, folks, too. It's happening once in 2016, again in 2018, and then 2021. This card continues to be good. Why is it good? Well, it has text on it that says this. It says, when you play another land, sacrifice City of Traders. So this seems really bad because like if it's your first land, it's going to get destroyed. But if you only need a couple of mana to get the game win, like you just need to make 3, and like this, a Spirit Guide and a Blood Moon, that can end a game. You can get turn 1 Blood Moon with this. You can actually, it'll help you turn 1 combo in Legacy if you've got mana rocks like a Lotus Petal. This Lotus Petal gets you 3 mana. Yeah, 3 mana is a lot on turn 1, especially in Legacy. It's a ton. Decks using it, Mono White Initiative and Painter Servant. So I want to look at both these decks. Oh my gosh. But the Mono White Initiative is a humans deck. I want to see what they're playing in Painter. So Painter's is 4-color Painter. Yeah, it's got Gaia's Blessing in the deck. Okay. And then it's got Plague Engineer. Okay, that's some tech. And Ethersworn Canonist. Now, the whole story about the Painter Servant deck and the bad beat on the City of Traders, there's a silver lining. Back then, I liked this deck because it's playing Emery. Okay, so back then, I'm getting distracted. Back then, there was the version of this that was, and I bought the Imperial Recruiter to go with it as well, which also got a reprint and Brody got hosed on. But so these are like bad beats. But you nevertheless don't throw the deck away and just be like, it's garbage. It's not working. Imperial Recruiter got reprinted and I missed out on City of Traders. The rest of that deck was a tier 1.5 deck. And I like the deck and I still play cards and decks that I like to this day for only that reason. I play the decks that you like, that are fun. Because if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. But keep your cards, right? Because here's an example of playing what you like when it actually turns out. Now, this is actually quite potentially considered, and I would say Legacy Painter Servant is now undeniably a tier 1 Legacy deck. Because the shell is still there. The Painter Servant card, the Grindstone card, the Mana Rocks, the Petals, the Baubles, the Cities of Traders, the Ancient Tombs, which this is also playing. But now there's even more cards that have been printed that are even better than what there was 5 or 10 years ago, including Emery Lurker of the Lock, the Thought Monitor, and all these blue cards. So that's why Blue Painter is now tier 1, and all these cards in the deck are seeing, and that's like most of the shell of the deck. So it's like I kept the shell of the deck. I'm glad I did. I would have been sadly disappointed to see, somebody come up with a new initiative brew in another color using some cards that I never considered. To see this whole deck become good again is great for me. Painter Servant playing it, Selesny Initiative, Sneak and Show, Boros Initiative, and everything else in between. Benson says, see that the LGS at conventions found a chunk of Rise of the Eldrazi in the trash back in 2010, took that right out and kept it. Was like, what the foof? Wow. I made a deck for a kid one night out of my binder in the store case so he could play with us. That's so nice. That's why I keep the cards, and I do the card sorting because like there is some people that like I can literally go through and build decks pretty easily. You know your stuff. Sometimes, Brody. Sometimes I know my stuff, but I learn something from each and every one of you every time we do the show. I'm so happy to do it. Thanks, folks, for joining me this morning. We're going to look at one more card here. The cops are at the door. They do not want me sharing this information with you, folks, the fans, everybody on YouTube. They won't put this out. The algorithm won't put this out there. You got to hit the like, you got to hit the subscribe, and you got to share this with other folks because I'm convinced we're stuck in do not amplify mode. Brody gets no play on the airwaves, but he does get play in the players' hearts and the heads. Thank you for joining me. We're going to look at one more card here this morning. It's Divine Intervention, because nobody cares about Mistress Factory this morning. I got to get rolling. $192. Here's a card on the reserve list, and if I've said it before, the reserve list is like the guardrails and the handrails on the staircase. Like without it, you could just fall off into card printing mechanics again that just were tried once and didn't work out. Check this out. 8 mana. Big. This is awesome because you could have an 8/8 with Opalescence. What? What are you talking about, Brody? Opalescence. You want to what? You want to play this with Opalescence? Yeah, man. Each other non-aura enchantment is a creature in addition to its other types and has base power toughness equal to its mana value. So you get an 8/8. No. Don't do it, Brody. That's not good tech. That's like a 10 mana combo? Don't. With 4 white in the pips? This is terrible. All right. Divine Intervention enters the battlefield with 2 intervention counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an intervention counter from Divine Intervention. So there's 2 counters on this. During the upkeep, you remove one. When the last counter is removed, Divine Intervention, the game ends as a draw. What? So this is a card that basically says we're not going to have a winner of the game of Magic. We're just going to call it a draw. Yeah, and this is a reason. There's a good reason for the reserve list when you look at this card. Yeah, let's put this card right on the reserve list. If we don't want to have a winner in the game of the Magic when everything is special and everyone's a winner and everything's a draw, this is the card for you. No, this card it's a good thing it's on the reserve list. We're glad we have the reserve list, so they might revisit the idea of cards that make the game end in a draw. This thing's on it as a warning to everybody to say, hey, let's not do that anymore. It's an interesting card. Deck's playing it. Let's see where it's banned. Not legal in what? It's legal in Legacy and Vintage. So you can actually like slam this down. And it says when you remove the last counter from Divine Intervention, the game is over and is considered a draw. So if you can get those counters off of there before you lose, the game's a draw. Now, how can this be good? Well, I'll tell you what. Best of one. So, and this is a fact. If you go to some competitive Magic the Gathering, like Magic the Gathering events, you can actually play decks that only want to play one game. They want to play one game and win, and then if the game 2 is a draw, we're not going to have enough time for game 3, so 1 win and 1 draw, that's a win, and you're moving on to the winner's circle. But it's kind of a cheesy way to do it. It's in the game. You can if you want to. It's your Divine Intervention, and you can if you get your party. You can if you want to. $111. It's on the reserve list. I need a copy of this card. I really do. It's from Legends. I need to collect it. I don't have one. I do want one. I would play it. Why not? I would play it and try and just remove the counters off it. I'd try and combo out on turn 1 or 2. I'd play it in a deck that combos on 1 or 2, and then I'd try and combo it out and just draw the game after that. Just say, I'm going home. Seems really hard to do. Probably not worth it, but a card like this is super collectible. It's got lore on it. Let's look at the art on it for a second, because this seems really cool. We've got an archway. It almost looks like these. This is a cult. This is a cult. Who's the artist? Amy Weber. Amazing art on this card by Amy Weber. I should have known that by the artist signature here. But these folks are just heading up the pathway. Look at this incredible art we got. A whole lot of symbolism going on here. I don't even want to discuss it. I just want you folks to enjoy it. Thanks for joining me again, folks. It's Brody. It's December 23. Thanks for joining me on the morning show, MTG Magic the Gathering Stocks and Talks. We're going to head out for the day. Don't forget to check out the Mr. DJ Longhair's channel. Brody tries to know his stuff. Good show, Brody. Thanks, folks. You made this show. I have to get ready to go. I do too. Thanks, Michael Superbacker. Always having my back. Cosmic Seeds in the house. Divine Intervention is dang good. I agree. I agree for sure. It's super powerful. Like an effect that just says the game ends in a draw. That is really powerful. I don't have any more. I need one for that. Take care, everyone. Seeds, no pre-ordering. Seeds is holding back. It's abstinence. MTG abstinence. It's the, hey, I'm trying not to buy anything off the Amazon store. You're the best, Michael Superbacker. Benson, stocks, finance in the description. Put stocks and finance in the description of the morning show. I will. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I need to do that. Brody is a bit of an amateur. Maybe that's why. Let's go, folks. It's awesome. Let's get what do we got here? Richie says, Elves, tokens, anointed procession, doubling, sieging, and congregates. You're welcome. These are all good suggestions. Love the comment, Zombie Master. I added the Master. I hope you don't mind. Or unless you prefer just Zombie. I'll take it back. I think Vault taps takes 4 to untap it. The crypt damages you. Yes, it does take 4 to untap Vault. Let's see. I love Magic. It's not even work for me. This is so much fun. Okay, found a chunk of Eldrazi. Oh. I said that about the Lotus. Tomorrow night at Twiddler's Place, if you guys haven't heard the news, there'll be games on there tomorrow. And Twiddler's having an amazing bundle. Duck race, a pre-duck. He's got a duck race happening. So there's a pre-order. If you want to pre-order anything, pre-order the duck race bundle. Pre-order your spot in the duck race over at Twiddler's channel. That's something I could get behind. Thanks for 16 votes. Holy smokes, that's a good turnout. Wow, record numbers. Unless you folks are lined up at the ballot box, hitting that twice. Don't be naughty, don't be nice. It's Thursday. It's the middle, one day past the hump day. We're getting one step closer to the weekend. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. It's Brody. Bye.